Hello and welcome to another episode of Creating Mental Wellbeing. This is episode 5 where we'll be looking at internal or external resources.
Have we not done that already? Are you sure? I think we have.
We have. So we've covered internal or external threats. And now we're on to stage 2 where instead of looking at the threats to well-being, we're looking at the solutions.
But we did also talk about resources as well, though, didn't we?
We kind of verged into that territory.
Okay, cool, okay.
Yeah. So hopefully, because we've verged into it a little bit before, we won't be speaking for 3 hours this time.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I might be able to go back to not having to edit these podcasts.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? I love it.
Do you want to reintroduce yourself for anyone that might not have listened to an episode before?
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hove. H to the Izzo. No, I'm joking. My name is Pruga. I am a filmmaker, musician, and Jane's absolutely fantastic and splendid boyfriend. And today I come to you as summer vibe Prugs, but I'm still wearing black.
As per.
And this is the Creative Health Framework, a creative health communication framework, which I know off by heart, obviously. Yeah, that's me.
And I'm Jane Hurst. I am a doctor of creative health. I created the Creative Health Communication Framework, and I currently work at Creative Synthesist as a creative health consultant and media producer. So yeah.
Also, welcome into our home. If I look moist right now, it's because
We've got a huge window.
We've got a huge window.
Full of sunlight.
It's very warm. It's extremely warm. We've had to turn the fan off and close the windows because it's quite a noisy road outside. And so I am perpetually perspirating. So forgive me if I'm looking.
Here for the art.
I'm here for the pure love of it is what I am. I'm a pure artist, you know what I'm saying? I'm just so dedicated to my craft of just talking.
Don't we know it? Never stops.
It never stops. What you got for me then, James?
So, internal or external resources. So the difference with this is before we talked about the threats, so we were talking about whether the kind of cause of things was coming from internal or the cause of it being some kind of pressure from the outside. We also talked about kind of absent or misaligned resources in the last episode. This one we're going to be talking about the solution to that. Is that something we want to self-cultivate, a kind of more resilience internally, a kind of new perception of the world and how we want to interact with it, a kind of new set of principles to guide us, help us make sense of everything? Or is it something external? Do we need to acquire resources, whether that be financial, kind of equipment, communities, spaces, anything like that?
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
So we've kind of talked a lot about you acquiring resources in the past, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things we might be able to go straight into is one of the things that I look at in the book is the unique selling point of the arts and how they contribute to resources. I think a great thing that the arts provide that isn't available through other kind of mental health and well-being services from a kind of clinical perspective is this focus on internal resources. So elsewhere in health social care systems, you'll have support with housing, you'll have support with debt, you'll have support with all the kind of things that can impact the pressures on your life. And the arts are about really starting to understand yourself, your identity, how you interact and make sense of the world, how you interact with others was the end of that sentence that I didn't complete there. And so let me call a quote from it because I thought this was quite nice.
Pull it. I like it.
The arts hold a strength in their ability to explore meaning within various forms of knowing and use this to develop values, power relations, strength of expression, interpersonal skills, motivation, and self-awareness. These are all vital protective factors within the development of internal resources. The ability of the arts to empower in this way is a unique selling point, which distinguishes them from more authoritative support systems. What are your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts on that?
Do you have thoughts?
Hit me one more time. Hit me, baby, one more time. Genuinely, hit me, baby,
the
one more
whole
time.
quote.
Yeah. Let me really consider this.
The arts hold a strength in their ability to explore meaning within various forms of knowing and use this to develop values, power relations, strength of expression, interpersonal skills, motivation, and self-awareness. These are all vital protective factors within the development of internal resources. The ability of the arts to empower in this way is a unique selling point which distinguishes them from more authoritative support systems.
I love it. I love it. Give me 17 of them now. No, yeah. So I agree. I agree. I mean, first of all, I don't know what an internal resource is, but I'm going to assume that it's something like having for example, having critical thinking.
Yes.
There's like an internal resource, something like that.
Yeah.
Having resilience, mental resilience and things like that. And so what I do know is that through me making music my entire life, it's allowed me to understand, so like I've always been able to pick up technology good. And so it's given me this sort of analytical sort of mindset, because you have to problem solve a lot, especially if you're trying something new or if something isn't working. It's like, how do I make it work? And so, yeah, I think the arts is fantastic at that. Yeah. And also for me personally, it's also helped me sort of understand when I can get into a meditative state and what I need to get into a meditative state, and also allow me to find my peace, and identify where I can find my peace. But remember, one of the other episodes I was saying, it also provided me with the ability to get something from being an idea into reality, and bridging that gap, because I think a lot of people don't have that. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on it, I think. Yeah.
So one of the interesting stories that came up when we were interviewing members of the public in the development of this framework, somebody was telling us about their wellbeing journey. They talked about how at one point they had kind of reached out to the church as a support system. And we know from like other research that spirituality can play a really key role in people's mental health and well-being. But for this particular person, they found that the way that the church that they were interacting with went about that was very authoritative. So it was very, this is the way to feel happy. Do as we tell you to, and then you'll have the good life as we think your life should be. And that didn't really resonate with the person. They believed in a bunch of the things that the church was saying, but in terms of the kind of structure and power it had over their life, they were saying it felt like they had skipped the step of having to look internally, build that resilience for themselves, have some kind of self-directed action of this is good or bad for this reason, this works for me and my future for this reason. So they actually turned to yoga as one of their alternative kind of sources of building internal resource. And what they found was that by going through yoga, they were able to have this kind of internal reflection time where they really got to think about what their values were. And so that was a great example of kind of building internal resources through, I guess, navigating those external resources to find the one that was able to really build something meaningful and sustainable in terms of how they saw the world, how they made sense of who they were and things like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I remember the first time that I don't know how to put this, but so I remember, maybe I said this on the previous podcast, I remember speaking into the void and it speaking back kind of thing. But I remember this time that I was exercising because one summer I used to go ride my bike a lot, and I used to go to Gedlin Pit, and I would ride my bike up this steep middle bit. Like, there's this middle bit. It was either on Gedlin Pit or no, actually it weren't. It was on this. There's this one hill next to where you used to live. There's this one super steep hill, and I would ride.
For people that don't know what Gedlin Pit is, do you want to describe?
Oh, Gedlin Country Park is what, like, the modern is its modern day name, but it's just a country park.
Yeah.
But it's on the way to there, and there's this really steep hill, and it kind of feels like it takes forever, and you can, like, the hill is literally like this, and it goes for quite a while. Like I say, right next to where you used to live. And I remember I was riding up there one day, and I just kind of which is kind of crazy to ride your bike and close your eyes, but
This is why you get hit by cars when you're riding bikes.
I've only been hit by a car one time I was riding a bike. In all of the years of riding bikes, quite a successful, and that was completely my fault, and I had my eyes open at that time. This time I had my eyes closed, but you know, you can't ride up a hill, that kind of hill, particularly fast, and so I was closing my eyes because it was like, and I was just focused on my breathing, and there was no escape from this difficult, like, you know, thing. It is very hard. And so it's just you know, because like when you stood up and you're riding, you're kind of transferring your balance or your body weight across your legs, and you're breathing and whatever. And there's this really weird thing that happened where, like, my internal voice is sort of talking to me and being like, "Oh, just get off and push it. Like, you'll be fine. It's okay. Like, yeah, it don't make you any. Like, you've not lost the challenge here or anything. This is all you just competing against yourself anyway, or whatever." And then, because it flipping went for so long, that voice got tired and stopped talking, and I didn't hear anything, which is crazy because I always like I can always hear myself thinking, just in my internal voice or whatever. And then it just went silent.
Yeah.
And there was this beauty in it. And then I got to the top of the hill, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think that's what God is, G. Is this oneness, this, you know, sense of having, there's this sense of going inside. Like I said, this woman did with yoga, is like, you know, he's telling me about all of these ways in which to do things externally or whatever. But I need to find myself, I need to find my center. And, go on. Yeah, and that was cool. What?
I was going to say, I might start believing God if you didn't hear your voice all the time as well.
That's not very nice, is it? That's not very nice. It's not very nice.
Go on, you were telling a beautiful story.
Oh no, that was the end of the story.
That was the end of the story.
Yeah, it wasn't that. No, but yeah, I just, obviously you telling that story there, of that lady just reminded me, and I was like, oh yeah, I had something like that, and it's never really happened again. I've never really done anything that difficult again for it to present itself, but I just thought it was just such an interesting, like, I've just never felt anything like that. It was so cool. And I've heard people talk about when they meditate, that's kind of where they get to this bit where it's like everything goes quiet and it's just themselves. And there was something, I was getting a massage one time. I think we was getting a massage together, to be fair. I kept imagining this black dot in the center of my, like, in my vision, but like in my mind when my eyes are closed. And my brain kept on trying to look away from it. It kept on trying to, like, imagine other things or think about other things. And I would bring it back to the center of this black dot. And every time I kind of brought it back, it would then start to, like, grow. And as it was growing, I was, like, feeling myself, like, relax more or whatever. And like I just kept doing that. And I also put there's this one video online of Warhammer. There's this Warhammer video called the Astartes, I believe it is. And they've got this cool visual effect. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, if I'm going to imagine this thing, then I also want a cool visual effect that I can see in my brain as well. So that's some of the arts, you know. And every time I wanted to get, you know, I put it back, I would imagine that when my, you know, mind's eye vision came back to it, it would do this effect. And so it was also compelling to want to go back and visualize this thing. And then I got to a place where I was like, whoa, like I'm fully just locked into this black dot, and I'm really sort of I don't know, finding a piece there, which is cool because I can't really do that. I can't just sit back and be like you will fall to sleep in 30 seconds, yeah. And I'm there for half an hour. It's like, please sleep. So there you go. So yeah, no, I think I can relate to that person that you was talking about, and I think it's cool. Man.
Yeah.
How do you what internal resources have you developed from some of your creative practices?
From some of my creative practices, I think I've always, like when I was younger, I used to love writing song lyrics and things like that. I used to love trying to isolate an emotion using kind of poetry or song. And I think like with poetry, I wasn't good at writing poetry. It wasn't stuff that I could share at an event or anything like that. But trying to make things rhyme meant that I had some kind of framework for getting words out. I had, instead of being like, there's this abundance of stuff, you know what I'm like, I'm not very good at reducing it down. So I might not be able to be like, okay, I can reduce this down so that somebody would understand the absolute most important part of it. But I can reduce it down to make it rhyme. I can go, right, all I'm trying to do is get out 2 sentences that explain something important, and they're restricted in some way. And having that slight sense of focus meant that this kind of fog of activity that was going on in my brain, I had some way of starting to unpick it a little bit.
I'm sweating. Carry on. You got this way of unpicking it a little bit. Words are rhyming and poetry, not very good at it, but you got this thing. Gee, I'm sweating out here. Gee, I gotta have a little something for me. Cause for real, I don't care what people think. Gee, I don't. Here's what I think you're not appreciating about this, is that people get to see a real, regular human being not pretending to be anything, other than trying their best. And now you're making me sweat even more now. You're making me absolutely perspire, G.
You're a mess.
I'm not a mess. You're a mess. It's warm, G.
I'm just as hot as you.
No, you're not.
You chose this location.
Send me location. Okay, so you like poetry, helps you formulate things, not good at rhyming or whatever.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Finish it. Keep all of this in. Go.
I already finished everything I had to say.
Oh, did you? Okay. Fair enough. So what was the internal resource that I taught you there?
The internal resource was being able to make sense of what I was thinking about. So instead of just accepting lots of vague concepts, which is how my brain thinks on a day-to-day basis, actually sitting there and making some sense of it. It's not making sense of it in the very clean, reductive way that you're able to, but it meant that over a few pages of ramblings, there was more sense than all the mess in my head. There was a kind of, okay, I hear where I'm at with this. Now I can move on. Now I have some kind of direction. Sometimes it was just like, okay, I'm feeling this feeling. I'm going to accept it. I can remember one poem that kind of stands out is I turned 23 and the composition of my body very suddenly changed. I went from having a lot of muscles to kind of getting hips and like more like soft body fat, and none of my activities changed. So it was very much a biological shift due to my age, I imagine. And I can remember having this overwhelming sense that this was my body telling me that like I was meant to be having babies or something. And I was so locked into wanting to do my career that just didn't feel like it aligned with what I wanted to be at that time. So using poetry to explore, like, why is that pressure there? Why does it matter how I look? Like, what is actually going on here? What are these emotions underneath? I think was a really just a nice tool for reflection. And I mean, you mentioned meditation earlier. I was going to ask you a question about meditation before we brought it up, because I know you've said before that you struggle to meditate, you
Yeah.
struggle to have that kind of calmness
Yeah.
with it. And what I found is when I've experienced lots of different types of meditation. Meditation can be anything that brings your mind some kind of focus. I actually find it much easier to focus on something beautiful and let that be the focus of my attention rather than trying to aim for this nothingness. Do you know what I'm saying? So if I was to watch some kind of experimental film where there's lots of colour, there's no narrative whatsoever, but there's just shapes and things like that, I'd find it easier to stare at that and zone out and start going into thought than I would to be in complete complete silence, complete darkness, and kind of trying to.
So I don't
You know what I'm saying?
meditate with silence. I put on sounds of the forest.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah. I've heard once that one of the reasons why listening to birdsong is really good for you.
Bird song.
Yeah.
What's bird song like? Tweet, 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 tweet. Okay.
Yeah.
But
is-
also what and like rain and wind and stuff, or like whatever, or just bird
birds
song
specifically, is because
with just birds tweeting.
so in a recording it would have wind and that sounds, but specifically the thing that's calming your nervous system is the birds.
Okay.
The presence of the birds in
Yeah.
whatever atmosphere they're in, is because even from an evolutionary perspective, when it was safe and there was no predators around, birds would tweet, and when it became dangerous, they'd go silent, they'd go kind of hiding, or they'd fly off. And so humans learned to kind of predict some kind of safety based on whether birds were tweeting or not. And so nowadays, the kind of threat that we're more likely to experience is a social threat. It's a more kind of ideologies and power relations and how you like morph around social pressures. We feel that threat in the same way that physical threat used to be a kind of bigger thing in our evolutionary past. Yet still, this kind of signal from birds can calm our nervous system.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I love hearing the birds chirp. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I love waking up to birds just absolutely screaming at you. I remember where I used to live, sometimes I wake up in the morning and the birds chirping is so loud I'd have to close my window. There's just so many birds chirping, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful though.
What's your favourite bird sound?
My favourite bird sound. That right there, that's beautiful. My favourite bird sound.
I'm going to have to add a sound effect in there because your audio
noise
editing
gate,
will get rid of it.
Potentially. My favourite bird sound.
Yeah.
What? I'm thinking there are a few good ones. I think what I have to do is I have to go with my just favourite bird in general, which is a bald eagle. That's my favourite.
What do they sound like?
Like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Just apex predator sort of vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like a bald eagle. It's like the American bald eagle.
Yeah.
The white head. They just look so cool.
Yeah.
They're massive as well. And they're just so cool and they're just so locked in. They're just so, do you know what I'm saying? I like, so, like that. Like proper. I'll show you have you never heard one?
Yeah, no, I feel like now that you've done it, I can kind of visualize.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a proper like squawk, but not like in a whack cheap way. Do you know what I'm saying? In like the most premium, expensive kind of squawks you can get. So what was you going to ask me about meditation? You said you was going to ask me a question about it before I brought it up.
You said that you've struggled to meditate before.
Yeah.
Yet you still, my understanding is that you still value that kind of self-reflection exercise that normally comes from meditation.
Yeah.
So how do you do that in a different context?
So it's generally when I'm like making stuff. So if I'm making music or if I'm editing a film or something like that, then I generally go into a bit of a meditative state and I start replaying conversations that I've had and stuff like that. Even maybe conversations from years and years ago, or just conversations that have taken place throughout the day. and that will be like weird, you know what I'm saying? I get that that reflectiveness. Or if I'm at the gym, maybe, then I will also, if I'm listening to music, I'll also be maybe replaying a song or something, replaying a conversation in my head or something like that, and just reflecting on. Or if I'm trying to sleep at night time, then I get a flood of anxiety and I start questioning every aspect of my life and what choices I've made. So that's also sometimes why it's difficult to get to sleep. And that's about it, really. Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they think about meditation, there's this kind of idea of the deep breathing, the paying attention to that, trying to think joyful thoughts, having...
Are you sure it's joyful for us?
No, this is what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
Like this kind of idea of affirmations and finding joyous sensation in you.
I've never.
That's not you at all. Do you want to describe a bit of that?
Yeah, well, so I'd say... So I would say probably that... So we spoke about this the other day, right? I think there is a darkness in all of us. I think it's just like the way that we're wired. Like he was saying, evolutionarily, we've had to do some dark things. Like humans have had to do some dark things to be here and to survive. And for the most part, probably had to kill a lot of animals as well. You know, like a lot of people would have firsthand had to kill animals. It weren't just exclusive to the butcher. You know, if you've got to hunt, if you've got, you know, small, you know, animals that you're keeping, at some point you're gonna have to murk one of these little chickens or something or whatever. Yeah, you know, and so like snuffing out a life, I don't think is ever a fun thing. That, you know, the evolutionary sort of predisposition to having to live with, you know, a sense of darkness or being prepared for doing things that you wouldn't necessarily want to do, combined with the fact that, you know, a lot of people aren't necessarily like have had challenging childhood in their own way. I think, you know, like I said, like it creates a sense of darkness or an aspect of darkness in you. And so I don't like to steer away from it. I don't like to shy away from it. I don't want to shy away from that. I think I'm more scared of the person who does try to shy away from their darkness. And like, you don't have to embellish in it, you know, or indulge in it. Yeah, you don't have to do any of that, but you do have to face it, you know. And I feel like when I'm doing some form of meditation, my mind just goes there anyway. But my mind, but I want to go there because if I feel like there's this shadow over me, I want to get to know that. I want to be comfortable with that. I want to know where its limits are. I want to know when it's going to present itself and things like that. I don't want to just think good things, because happiness is like a fleeting thing. I feel like I can be guaranteed that I'm going to be upset about something. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be depressed about something. I'm going to be angry about something. But there might, you know, but I'm not, like, happiness can get snuffed out pretty quickly. Like, somebody could say something that's going to annoy me and I'm just like, well, I'm in a bad mood all day. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a fleeting thing that I feel like it's, you know, like affirmations. I don't really want any of that. I don't want affirmations, because as well, like, here's the thing with like affirmations or positivity or whatever. I think it's my responsibility to be a positive force onto people and to hopefully inspire people to do something better or be better in some capacity. No doubt about it. And to also, like, for my friends and family, to give when I can, whether it's give my time or give resources or give knowledge or whatever it may be. I think that's definitely a responsibility of mine. So I believe in being a positive force out here in these streets. But at the same time, when I give myself a pat on the back, it'll be because of a consequence of the actions that I've been taking, the output of the actions that I've been taking. If I need to feel good, then that means I need to go to sleep. Do you know what I'm saying? I need more hours sleeping. If I'm like, I need a self-care day, it's like you need to go to sleep, like go to bed early. If spend the entire Sunday just laying down in bed trying to sleep, like that's my like self-care thing, but not positive affirmations or anything like that, because I feel like it's a slippery slope and it could lead you to delusions, and I don't want to be delusional. Do you know what I'm saying? I want to be realistic. No matter how ugly it is, I want to be in the thick of reality, not, you know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like that's because you've had periods of time where you have gone through too much delusion?
Yeah. You know this. You already know. That's why I ask him. This is a leading question, hey? You're trying to lead me down a bloody rabbit hole. No, I'm only joking. It's fine.
No, I'm more thinking when I first met you, it's interesting that I have really like strong opinions on what I want for my own life, and yet then you had very contrasting opinions of how to deal with things like well-being, how to have a direction in your life. And a lot of that was because we came from different starting points. I have a lot of instances in the past where I've overworked, burnt myself out, and so I had to start having this, there is a limit. I need to start putting up more boundaries, limits on what I'll do. And when I first met you, I found it quite scary that you were like, no, I'm going to keep pushing myself to my absolute limits, because I've done that. I've seen what my limits are. I've seen what I've done when I've pushed past it and carried on for too long. Whereas that kind of, from what I understand, that sense of wanting to push through is because you had lots of years of managing to coast without pushing, and you wanted more for yourself. So by having different backgrounds means that what each individual needs at that time is different. So for some people, if they've heard endless insults and the kind of way that they want to, they have these ambitions, but the thing that's holding them back is feeling like there's an anxiety of getting in the room. If their way of pushing forward and really starting to commit to those actions that they want for themselves, commit to that future, is by starting a day with an affirmation, I think that's really good for them. But if like you were saying, for your personality type, or how it might affect you in terms of an affirmation becoming something that can replace the act of doing, then you see the danger in it, right? There's like two sides to every coin.
No, fact, but also as well, you've got to bear in mind, right, as well, like, so like, you know, humans are, and so I guess, so ultimately you're right, innit? Like, I'm not saying that my thing is the thing to do or the right thing to do or anything like that. Do whatever's best for you. If you need affirmations, then get them. I just don't want them, and I don't need them. But the thing with me is, for years, I was not maximizing my potential. And I wasn't trying to maximize my potential. And then I start to try to maximize my potential, and I realize, I can like push so much further and whatever. And don't get me wrong, I know when to take a break. And it's funny because I remember you was like, because you said exactly what you said there, innit? Like, but I've seen this and do you know what I'm saying, and whatever. And I'm like, no, that's cool. But like, I'm not the kind of person that like will burn myself out and then like implode. I will tell people, no, it's not happening today. Whatever.
I was really worried that like you were giving a lot to our relationship, and I was like, I don't want to end up being exploitative.
You can't. It's impossible, G. It's not going to happen. And look, now we've been together for a year, and you see me just shut stuff down, right? You know what it's like.
No, that's what I'm saying. We came from different backgrounds. I knew what it felt like to care so much about people that I was willing to be exploited, and not knowing the limits. And I certainly didn't have the right kind of mechanisms of putting up boundaries at the right time, or just knowing when the kind of rest in the short term was the key
Yeah.
to succeeding more in the long term.
I have a full Sunday off. I will sleep the entire Sunday.
The entire
Not
day.
anymore, because obviously you're like, man, we're doing this. And I'm like, so you're definitely going to make me implode one day with one of these activities. No, I'm joking. I'll just cancel a
I
plan.
love an activity.
Yeah, I'll just cancel. I don't care. But no, I think one important thing to bear in mind as well is that, like, who needs an affirmation when there's a 4:30 a.m. alarm that I have to wake up to? That has to happen. And then there is a series of events that has to take place. I have to make my coffee. Got to do that. I've then got to get ready. Got to do that. Then I've then got to go to the gym. Got to do that. I've got to go to the gym. And I've got to at least do what I did yesterday or do a bit more. Once I've done all of that, I'm like, all right, calm. Let me get my second coffee. Boom. And now I'm like, equilibrium. You don't need a positive affirmation when you've just had a mental checklist of things that you've just ticked off. You've just made these achievements. You've seen these same people in the gym that was there yesterday. They see you. You know what go on with it. We're the kind of people that get up early and we will grind it out before a full day's work. That's who we are. I don't need no positive affirmation because I'm literally achieving things that most people do not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't need to tell myself anything nice because I know it, because I am participating in voluntary hardship. Do you know what I'm saying? For a much longer payoff, you know?
Well, the other day I had a new work context that I was getting overwhelmed about.
Yeah.
You were giving me lots of affirmations. You came and sat with me whilst I was ironing my smart clothes and sitting.
Gee, I don't care what anyone thinks. Put the comment on the thing saying, Mara, Pruga this or whatever. I don't care. Nah, yes, go on. Talk. Tell everyone how lovely I am as a boyfriend. Go on.
You were sitting there, and the sole purpose of you sitting in the same room with me was to send loads of random affirmations my way.
Absolutely. And I was getting you to answer. I was asking you questions to which there was only one answer. I was asking you, like, who is the most competent, beautiful, smart person that is going to go to this thing today? And he's like, it's me. And I'm like, that's right. I was like, look how easy. This is such an easy test for you. But the reason for that is because you need that. I know you require that. Doesn't make you less strong than me or whatever, but it's like, I can see there's a sense of anxiety here. I can see she needs a boost in confidence. But me just telling you that isn't going to be enough. I know that, like, some of the ways that people work or whatever, like if someone wants to make a real change to their life, they can't just have someone be like, you need to make a change to your life. It's like, ask them a series of questions, like using the Socratic method or whatever, and they will come to the realization of, what are you laughing at me for? Anyway, and so, yeah, but like, you need that, but that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, for me, I don't want that, and I don't need that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I make a video or whatever, or make a song, and I'll be like, this song sounds banging. I know it sounds banging. I can hear it sounds banging. In my opinion, it sounds banging. This video looks cool. I'm happy with this video. I'm proud of this video. There's an output of this work that I've done, or whatever it is, you know. And so that's enough for me. And I've been to the gym.
There's times where I give you affirmations and
it,
you hate it.
Yeah.
You get all like, my head's going to be too big if you. I'll stop doing the thing if you make me feel too good.
I just say that I don't like to take it on. I don't like to take it in because, like I say, it's a slippery slope for me, isn't it? Like, it could be a slippery slope for me.
I mean,
anyone.
My brother is a professional boxer, and there was a period of time where he was having to do really intense training ahead of his next match. And he was saying some of the goals that he set for himself, every time people are like, oh, like, how are things going? He'd tell them what his plan was for the next week or for the next day. He'd get all the praise, and then he'd lose all the motivation because he had this kind of buzz of like, I've got this done. And he was saying he learned to stop telling people what his plans were, to stop telling people what his achievements were. Wait till after the match and then go, oh, this is how tough it was. Because the lack of encouragement and kind of congratulations meant that he stayed locked into being aware of what his goal was.
Absolutely. I tell myself every day almost that there's someone out there that is doubting me.
Yeah.
And so I've got to prove them wrong.
I love it.
And I love that for me.
Mm-hmm.
It means that I'm perpetually anxious about something though, but I don't mind that. I like it.
Perpetually anxious about all kinds of stuff, but not how
This,
you look with a
because-
towel on your head.
Hey, I don't care what people think. I need this, baby. I need this because I'm sweating. Either that or what will happen is I'll be perpetually anxious about this going out and being ill. And because you know what I say to her, my face is just glowing on camera. I'll be like, you got to remove the footage. This is just an audio one from this is an audio one. This is the last time that we're recording here on a warm day, to be honest with you. I can't lie to you. This is
It is ridiculously hot today, isn't it? So
I look pretty cool. Can't really see me, to be fair.
So in the book, the next bit that we talk about is different ways of methods for attaining internal resources. So there's 3 kind of different things that are facilitative of gaining internal resources. So the first one is called unconditional positive regard. And that comes from therapy theory. I think it's Carl Rogers.
Carl Rogers.
I might have got that wrong, but I think that's the name of the person who said it originally. Yes, Carl Rogers.
Nice, smashed it.
Smashed it. So this is the sense of, so you've heard of unconditional love.
Yeah. I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my mummy.
So say your mum
Yeah.
unconditionally loves you.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
You're a teenager.
I am, yeah.
Certainly act like
I
one.
was. Going.
Your mum loves you no matter what.
I know that.
There's a difference between that mum showing unconditional love, loving you no matter what, but having an idea of how you should live your life.
Yeah.
Now, as a teenager, that's when a lot of people are like, but I want to live it this way.
Yeah.
So there's 2 different ways that a parent might interact with you. One is they go up to you and they go, I don't think you should do this thing. But if you end up doing this thing anyway, I'll be here, but I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm not going to respond to you in the exact same way, but I'll let you live your life. I'm telling you that I don't think you should, but you are still the autonomous agent in your life.
Yeah.
Or there's the parent that goes, this is my way of doing things. You're my child. You're going to do that.
Or.
That was the second version.
Yeah, but or else, or.
Well, there's consequences.
Okay, yeah.
In the first one,
Yeah.
that's kind of a real world example of unconditional positive regard. It's giving you the acknowledgement that you're in control of your life.
Yeah.
You'll make mistakes at times, but I will unconditionally assume that you are the best person to make decisions about your life.
At what age?
Well, this is normally used in a counselling context, so it's normally adults that would be responding to this.
So, but then why is it about kids then?
I'm telling you about teenagers because it's a easy example to give of that kind of tension point of when we start wanting more independence, wanting autonomy on our lives. It shows that humans get to a point where they want to be autonomous, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? If you want autonomy, then don't live under the rule of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, because I think that second example with the G, little human being, I love you very much and I'll always love you. There's not really anything you could do to make me stop loving you because of the way in which our minds are created or whatever. Innit? You're my blood. You are me. You are 50% of me and 50% of your mum. You are the essence of us. And we've tried our very best to pour all of our love and knowledge and compassion into you. But there is a limit to how much I'm prepared to allow you to disrupt the peace in this home. And you're going to just have to take it from me. Like, when you was a baby and you needed food, we had to feed you. We knew what was best, and so we did what was best for you. You couldn't go to the toilet by yourself. We had to change it. Do you know what I'm saying? There's been this, like, you don't even remember these times.
Yeah.
We do remember these times. You've now, your frontal cortex, you've like now gained consciousness out of nowhere one day. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't really have any conscious memories before being like 3-ish or whatever. It's like one day you became conscious and you started figuring out the world and whatever. And I remember being that and being like, I know what's best. And only in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, even at 20, I was like, yeah, no, I think I kind of know what I want. Looking back, no, I did not know what I want. At 25, I was like, I think I know what I want. Looking back, I did not know what I want. And I'm sure that 5 years from now or 10 years from now, I'll look back and I'll be like, I thought I knew what I want. I did not know what I want. And so, young child, you're going to have to trust that in this instance right now, I know what's best for you because of all of the experience. I existed before you existed. I've seen these patterns emerge over the years and you haven't. It doesn't mean that like I have a better sense of what it's like to live in your shoes. You're the only one who knows that. But it's my job to guide you whilst I'm also caring for you. Well, go on.
I just every so often remember there's towels on your head.
Gee, it's beautiful right now. Just there's not much really dripping down from the forehead. It's great. Whilst you're under my reign or whatever, my dominion, it's my job to protect you. But if you want autonomy, if you want to be out here making your choice and whatever, then that's fine. I remember when I had to start making choices for myself and whatever, I had to move out of my mum's house. I had to go get a job. I had to earn my place in this world. Yeah. You're not going to get all of the autonomy without having any of the responsibility. Yeah. No one's going to come bail you out or anything, so there is this that like, yeah, if you're the best one to make choices for you, there's no doubt about that in terms of, if, I want to, whatever it may be, I don't know. You have to make that choice. I can't tell you what you are doing. I can just say that here's what I think you should be doing. This is what I want to see you do. This is what you better do if you want to live here. But if you don't want to live here and you want to go and do, then, I'm always going to love you. And if you want to chat, I'll always be here for you. But don't come running back here, you tail between your legs like, you were right. No, G, go. That's you now. Fly the nest. I want to be proud of you. Make me proud. Do you know what I'm saying? Make me proud. I'll love you forever. Maybe cut all of that out.
So you're a teenager.
I thought today was going to be a better episode. I did not expect to be having to deal with this heat and struggling. We're not doing it here ever again, G. If it's over 20 degrees Celsius, G, we're not doing it. If it's over 20, we're not doing it. Yeah. What you got for me, G?
So, you've illustrated very well how there are consequences in everyday life. Yeah. If you behave a certain way, the people around you can still love you, but they have their own boundaries. They have their own life that they're trying to navigate. Yeah. They have their own priorities that they have to put first. There are consequences to everything you think or do. Yeah. And so one of the reasons why unconditional positive regard exists in therapy spaces is that you're either getting NHS care or you're paying somebody to provide you with a space where there is no consequence to exploring ideas. You're going down different other than to yourself. You get to explore the fullness of a train of thought and then get to the kind of conclusion of how something is right or wrong for you yourself, and then come back to this space of going, okay, I don't want to go down that path because actually now I've had the space to track all the consequences. I wasn't just doing it out of automation because somebody else wants me to do it. I've actually now gone through the thought pattern of all the consequences myself and made this decision for myself.
I won't be able to do that.
To do what?
To have a therapy session like that.
No, but you are somebody who goes through those thought paths on your own.
Anyway, just by myself. Yeah.
And I think so if we applied this to an everyday circumstance, there are conversations that you and I have. We don't have to go into detail with
Let's
here.
not go into it at all. Yeah.
But you sit there and say it's important for us in a relationship to acknowledge things that we're ashamed of, things that are our darker sides, things that we're trying to work on, have those conversations about what our principles are, what our boundaries are. All those things are important to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And so I might have something that is truthful that will upset you, but you need to know about it. And so I go through the fullness of that conversation with you, same vice versa. And the unconditional positive regard is we have a principle that we want to tell the truth to each other, even when it hurts, even when we can sense in ahead of time that there's going to be some value misalignment there that we need to discuss. But we go in with unconditional positive regard for one another, knowing that we intend to get out the other side of that conversation, that we go in there with goodwill of knowing that the truth is important, and to be able to tell the truth to each other, we've gone in with that sense of making a safe space for truth to exist. It doesn't mean that we have to be happy in that conversation. It doesn't mean that we have to just accept what the person is telling us and not be critical of it. But we still have that sense of we'll hear the truth, we'll get to the other side of understanding it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would only do it like with someone who like it's like this conversation is important because it's going to be like the backbone, foundation, or the fabric of our relationship. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like I think maybe to let people know, like I'm not adverse to these types of conversations. I just think there should be there should be a massive, for me. This is all just me. This isn't me prescribing anything. This is me describing my shiznit. But there should be a harsh limit on, the depths of your soul that you pour out to people. And like, you should try to limit that to, where it's necessary for the most part. And for me, like it would never be necessary.
So you've said that you can't see a reason why you'd need to tell other people those kind of depths. I think
whilst figuring it out,
I think that there's different contexts for different people, right? So I like to socialize my problems. You don't. So I like hearing lots of people's perspectives. I like hearing somebody's perspective when they're trying to give me advice and going, yeah, that feels like it absolutely does not align to what I wanted. Sometimes people giving me advice is the thing that makes me go, oh no, I did know what I want here. It's not what you've said. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think also there are people who say you've been brought up either in a community context, or even if take it one step further, where it's kind of an emotionally manipulative context that you're living in, whether that be partner, family, community, parents, you might be restricted in your thinking because there's fear around it, or because there's kind of this sense of if you step outside of it, you're going to lose people. Having that safe space where you can start, you have the safety to think for yourself is very important for some people.
No, yeah, for sure. But I think there's two kinds of people when it comes to therapy, right? Is there are people who are and it certainly verges on ignorant, there's no doubt about it, but there are people who are really strong of character, and the last thing that they need is somebody giving their unrelatable, uneducated, unconsidered opinion on their life.
So a counsellor typically can't give an opinion on your life.
No, but you said you like to socialise your problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily, it's not exclusive to like counsel. Well, they're not supposed to. I'm sure there are ones who, I mean, I've heard my brethren talk about one of his, like, and it's definitely man's getting opinions about his thoughts or whatever, back from the council or whatever. So, you know, I'm sure there's a bunch of ways that, you know, mechanics are supposed to do this to your car. I doubt every mechanic actually does what they're supposed to do or what they say they're going to do. But yeah, if you want to talk about, you know, like if it's like socialize it with your friends as well, it's like, there isn't anything that you can tell, like, let's have a conversation about a situation, right? Let's have a conversation about, you know, maybe a challenge that we're facing, and more just to like, oh, what you've been up to? Oh yeah, this thing happened. That's kind of a mad thing. They may have something that does relate to it, and you might be like, okay, cool, yeah, they went about it in a really, you know, bad way. Maybe that's not how it is. But if I'm trying to figure something out, if I've got a thing about me that I'm unsure about or whatever, it's like, I've got, you know, I'm strong of character. I know who I am. I've got guiding principles in my life. If this thing that I'm trying to figure out doesn't meet the requirements for this, you know, decision-making equation that ultimately is built from the principles that I have, if it doesn't fit in there, then it doesn't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not I don't, you know what I'm saying? But then you are going to have people like you say that were brought up in communities or whatever, or victims of abuse or whatever it might be, and they maybe have a distorted view of themselves. They may be a little more unsure about because they've had a lot of opinions poured into them, and over the years, it's like they probably don't know where they're being pulled and why they're being pulled there. People feel a lot of things and don't know why they're feeling a lot of things. People feel scared, they don't know why they feel scared. They feel happy, they don't know why they feel happy. They're conflicted, and so they may very well need a neutral party to be able to bounce things off of, and to ask them certain questions that they may be not asking themselves and whatever. So yeah, there's no doubt that there's certainly these two types of people that exist, and that's fine. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that for sure. But I think there are those two people, you know, types of people, and there's obviously lots of different other types of people. There's tall people, short people. There's all kinds of people.
Nice little ending to that one. So reference points of viable possibilities. How would you...
What does that mean?
Interpret it.
Reference points of viable possibilities.
Yeah.
Reference points of viable possibilities. That could be something that you've been through in the past, so you can relate to the... It's like, oh, I've been here before. I've seen this before. I know what a viable solution is to this problem. I've spoke to my friend about this, and like in the past, or I've seen what they've gone through, and so this is how they navigated it. Seems like a viable solution. I saw an interview with somebody who spoke about how they overcame a challenge. That's a viable, like that is that what you mean? Sound. Well, I'm a genius then, aren't I? What are your thoughts on it?
So this is a term that I created.
You created it?
Yeah.
You came up with this?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
There's probably something out there that's very similar to it already, but it didn't come up in any of the reading that I was exposed to during the PhD.
Is that worse? Okay.
You can have it. There's not really any getting worse. You know what I'm saying? You've got a towel on your head.
I want long hair. I do.
Reference points of viable possibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, this came, one of the kind of standout stories, I guess, is one of the participants who told us stories as part of the research co-design project. They were talking about an upbringing in Zambia, and they were talking about a very particular kind of childhood, very kind of exposure to lots of different types of people in their community, lots of access to open green spaces, very high standards of education that they had access to, all these kind of very beautiful things about their life. And so whenever they reached challenges in their kind of aspirations, their financial circumstances, like the kind of path that they were on, they would always be able to think back to, well, this is what is possible from life. I've had it before, therefore I can have it again, as long as I steer on the right path. And I think what I find really interesting about this is it points to people that might be from backgrounds that didn't have great education, didn't have exposure to a variety of people, to learn different kind of diversity of thought, diversity of ways of thinking, and those kind of possibilities for their life. Like, for example, I might have mentioned this in a previous episode. One of the greatest things that happened to me in terms of advancing my career was having somebody, like a mentor, but not necessarily a mentor is the wrong word, but somebody that believed in me, taking me as one of their guests to an awards ceremony, where there was like lawyers, recruiters, all these kind of professional industries that I had never had exposure to in my upbringing, coming from that more kind of working class background. And being in a room like that, obviously I was trying to open up a film business at the time, and I can remember thinking how bad I felt when members of like my council estate wanted a film, and I'd be telling them how much it costs to, and I've got to bear in mind, like, I've got very expensive camera equipment that I'm struggling to pay off. I've got very limited time. You've got all these kind of, all the time that you're having to put in applications and stuff, you're having to back budget for, all these things that, like, the cost of editing software, the cost of sound effects and things that you're buying in for a project that people would expect to be part of it. Once you tallied all that up, there was a minimum amount that I'd be able to make a film for just to break even. And the amount that people around me would expect me to be able to make a film for, or some people would be like, oh, but you can make this for free, right? Because we know each other. And I was just constantly exposed to these circles that completely undervalued the craft that I was creating, completely didn't understand the expense that was involved with being able to make those films in the way that they were expecting, this kind of lack of knowledge. And they didn't mean anything bad by it. They just had a lack of resources themselves. So trying to conceptualize that I wanted more from that made me feel incredibly guilty that I was trying to pitch at a certain value for myself. And then being in this room full of people who charged all kinds of fees for the work that they did, and it being a completely different kind of class of people, a completely different professional context, they more often commissioned films and things like that, and so they already had a much higher understanding of what they have paid for films in the past and what they'd be willing to pay for one again. And so I wasn't having to go through this experience of having to negotiate and explain my worth to people. They just understood what the worth was because they'd come across other people that had that worth previously. And so I guess for me, from that context, I didn't have first-hand experience of being a lawyer or being a recruiter, but I now had been exposed to people that did. I had been exposed to people that thought about film in a different way, thought about how valuable it was to their very highly profitable businesses, the kind of audiences it would bring in, how that would turn into revenue, being able to think about my craft as being part of a bigger picture of making money for people. It stopped making me feel like I was taking too much from them, and started making me go, no, this is how much it costs to make, this is how much my time costs, and that's fine. And it completely shifted my confidence in being able to go, this is how much a service costs.
Did you ever consider asking those people who was asking for it for free, whether they work for free?
No.
Well, I'm sure they would have said, no, I don't work for free.
I think a lot of those people as well thought they were doing me a favor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't see how you're doing me a favor by me doing a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need more kind of experience. Yeah. I already know my craft. I already deliver high quality outputs. And there's always this kind of argument of exposure. Oh, but you've got more kind of things to put in your show reel or whatever. And I had a lot of the people that were asking for these films were doing startups. So it's like, well, I'm not going to get any exposure from you because you have yet to create a network. So if anything, the exposure would be better working for a really highly profitable business with a global network. There would actually be more value in doing a film for free for somebody that has a network. They are offering something back in one sense. So yeah, very interesting navigating those kind of relationships.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So the other one, this is another one that I coined the term for, but I'm sure it has some kind of background elsewhere under different wording, is facilitative environments for adaptation.
Facilitative environments for adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
So like therapy or something.
So, facilitative environments for adaptation describes safe places in which an individual can reflect on their self and what they need to change to achieve better well-being. I use this term specifically to denote a space that is accessed frequently enough to either become the dominant environment reflected in a person's internal world or to counteract the negative effects of a toxic dominant environment.
I'm a toxic dominant environment.
How?
In my head, I don't know, because I create a lot of negative feelings, and it's always quite aggressive to myself. So imagine, that's about that. Really, I think so. Do you benefit from those sorts of environments?
So I guess one of the kind of examples that came up in the participant interviews was people that had like predominantly lived in abusive spaces. There's got to be some kind of action plan of how you escape those spaces, where you're moving to. And in order to do that, you need a space to think. You need a space to feel safe enough to work out what it is you want, how you're going to achieve that. So that's kind of the extreme version of that. In the same kind of way that people go to rehab centers. It's a place where they're not around the same communities that are trying to sell them things, that have the same kind of difficulties of addiction. Being in a place that's different, starting to be like, this is what my life could look like. I've got this space to experience a different world, a different way of being. And now how do I take that safety and take it back to my context?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any kind of facilitative environments?
Probably when I went to a SEN school when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How was that, a facilitative environment?
They facilitated an environment of learning, whilst giving like a carrot and learn just the basic sort of foundational, maths and English sort of stuff. And as a reward, you get to make music or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, they facilitated like traditional learning curriculum with like creative learning and stuff.
So that's the bulk of the content for this chapter. So when we haven't overspoke in episodes, it's always nice to finish on some application to creative health, right? Mm-hmm. So the two examples that I give in this book, the first one looks at therapeutic writing. So this might be a method of looking at internal resources. So you've kind of talked before about journaling and how you've used that to kind of make sense of your world. I guess one of the things that I really liked about one of the kind of creative health specialists who facilitates creative writing, she used the language of linguistic control, and I really like how that references that kind of internal resource, in that you're you're seeking control over something of yourself. You're trying to make sure that your language of yourself aligns with your values and your intentions for yourself as well. So building up the strength of that internal resource. Did you have any comments on that one?
No, I like it. I think it's good.
In the second example, I then tried to think of an external resource. So I looked at a Bollywood dance class that's offered by an organisation called Bollyqueer. That one is a place where they provide dance classes for queer and trans people. And one of their key focuses is on degendering the dance moves. So they make it so that anyone can dance on either side of the typically highly gendered kind of Bollywood style of dancing. People who really resonated with the kind of cultural background of Bollywood dancing, but didn't feel like it reflected their character as the kind of queer identity that they hold. This is a place where they can connect to other people like them and get to celebrate Bollywood dancing on their own terms. So I guess in terms of seeing that as an external resource, what is provided through that is a place that is affirming to what they want. They like Bollywood. They want to feel safe in their queer identity. Here is a place where they get to express themselves around other people that want to express themselves in a similar way. So therefore, it's an external resource.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. Do you have any comments on creative health applications of your own?
I think it would just be me repeating like what I said before, right, about making music, manifesting an idea and bringing it forth into reality. Creating makes me feel good because I'm fulfilling of being in service of others, and trying to achieve my full potential, and I do that via making stuff.
Yeah. You like making stuff. You make things like your music. My understanding is that you've predominantly done that on your own. It's a kind of solo pursuit, and you see that more as something that you get to explore everything that's going on internally for you. Yeah. Whereas your filmmaking you see as more of a career or more of a kind of professional endeavor for the most part, right? You're interested in the creative outputs of it, but there is this kind of I guess need to collaborate with others at times in order to kind of progress that portfolio, I guess. So one of the external resources I see in your life is your access to some awesome collaborators. Yeah. Do you want to talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I have, I know, some quite creative people, musicians and stuff like that, who are very clear on their creative vision, and who are very hardworking and who are very passionate. And so I get to work with some cool people who are prepared to spend a lot of their free time and invest it into like making something a reality. And yeah, I think that's about it, really. I think so on that. Unless there was more of a question, like if there's like a follow-up question that you can ask, then I can think of that. But I don't. Well, like yeah.
So how did you find collaborators where you're like, this is the person I want to work with?
So obviously I'm difficult to get along with. That's just a fact. And
as you can see with this annoying
I get it. I'm not that unaware of myself to know that I'm not a difficult person to get along with. So I appreciate anyone who likes me. But I'm just very particular and I don't really deal with any, nonsense. And so when I was a kid, I watched the movie 300 and I saw that and I was like, whoa, dude, I want to be a filmmaker. Took me forever to get my first camera. But when I did, I knew that it was going to be a similar journey to when I made music, which is just literally get the reps in, just keep on taking photos, taking random little videos, keep on editing it and putting it together and whatever. And then I hit a threshold of being like, well, I know I'm not as good as other people I'm seeing online, and it's just because I don't have the experience. I don't know all the little shortcuts. I don't know exactly what resources it would be that I would need, like, you know, what software in particular, what plugins, but I know it's going to be something like how it is with making music. But what I do need access to somebody who wants to be in front of the camera. And I need to be able to essentially, you know, I can't really be charging people right now because I know I'm not good enough. And also I don't want to charge people and then deliver a subpar product that they're not going to be happy with. So I was like, I need to see if I can find someone or whatever. And I used to work with Nikko. And so and I know he's always been, you know, doing his dance and whatever, and he's always put out videos here and there of him dancing and whatnot because I've got him on social media. And then one day, on one of the days that I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into town, literally just to take pictures and video stuff, I was sitting at a pub having a pint and he walks past and I was like, yes, let me give him a shout. This is what I'm saying. I already had it in my mind and whatever. Praise God, baby. And then he walks past and I'm like, yo, what are you saying, bro? Let's get some work in. True Say Man's doing video editing now. Let's get some work in. Like, if you need a video done, let me know. And he's like, yeah, hit me up on Instagram, whatever. I hit him up and that was like 3 years ago now. And we've made a ton of projects. And he's, you know, he knew what stage I was at the beginning, right? And he was like, you know, yeah, like, we'll do it. I understand you're growing. And so I'm prepared to, you know, grow with you and whatever. And then, you know, we're in a place now where 3 film festivals have selected our music video, just one of the many music videos we've made, but selected one of the, thank you to you for submitting them. But 3, you know, and so went from just absolutely terrible to slightly better. And Nikko is very much like we're quite similar. We've got very similar sense of humor. We've got a similar passion for our creativity. And we have a particular way of communicating. We communicate very frankly and honestly with each other, even if we offend one another. Like, you know, like we will get angry with each other or whatever. We tend not to, but if we have to, then we will. And we also punch each other in the face as well. Like we will spar at times. We'll do MMA sparring at times, and we'll like, you know, essentially like, you know, punch each other in the face and whatever. And so, I think we have a fantastic relationship in the way in which we work together, but we're also friends as well, you know. And it started off as working together, but as I ended up being one of his groomsmen or whatever. And so I think it's just about like, I'm happy to also have clients as well, right, that I don't have that relationship with. I'm happy to have clients that I don't have that type of relationship with because I see it as work, and I don't have to like the people that I work with. Not that I've ever had a client I don't like, but I don't have to like the people that I work with, and I don't have to necessarily even want to do whatever it is that they're asking me. But I've got a job to do, and it's my job to help to bring their vision to life or whatever.
And you're getting paid to do it in the way that they want you to, right?
Exactly. And so I'm happy to do that. But if I had to give one piece of advice to anybody that was thinking of starting a creative endeavor in which they would like to maybe turn into a business, is that, first of all, it's never too late to start. And also, don't be scared of doing stuff for free as well. Like, that was massive for me, is just like, just do it. Like, you know, don't do everything for free, but don't be scared of doing stuff for free. Like, you're trying to find your feet, right? And you'll know when it's like, okay, it's time to start charging people. I know my worth, you know, but don't be scared of being in service for others.
Well, and knowing who to do free stuff with. Like, when you and Nikko make films, there's a bunch of times where you contact him being like, I have this idea, I have this thing I want to experiment with. And obviously it's his songs that he's trusting you with in some of those films, but you're getting to experiment, and then vice versa. He's like, I want to try and do this, and you find the way to do that. So there's this kind of reciprocal relationship where you're getting to learn through those experimentations. So the kind of free nature of some of that work comes with other benefits, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. And he also trusts me and I trust him.
Yeah.
And we've built that trust with each other, you know, that creative trust with each other over time. Like there'll be times where I'm like, this video is 100% me, and this is what I'm asking for you. This is the kind of style. This is and he's just like, yep. Do you know what I'm saying? I say jump, he says how high. And then there's times where it's 100% his creative vision. I get on set and I don't know anything.
Oh, I know. I've joined for some of those sets. I'm like, how do you not even know what song it is?
I don't know the song. I just get there. He tells me what I need to know. Sometimes, most of the time, he'll send me a brief beforehand, but I'll only really read it when I get there because I don't like to necessarily think about things too much. Like that, because it'll just cause me more stress than like it's actually worth. And also I can just pick it up quickly, innit, do you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes there's, you know, it will be a 50-50 collaboration on stuff and whatever. But it's awesome though. I love it. I absolutely love working with my friend, and I don't want to work with all of my friends. I don't want to because they don't have that creative vision. And there's a bunch of creative people that I also know. And I don't want to necessarily work with them in the same way that I work with Nikko, but we've established this fantastic relationship. And yeah, if you can find yourself, you know, if you can partner with somebody, and you know, embark on some creative endeavors together, it is awesome. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode today, ending on a nice little creative example of your collaborations. I still can't get over the towel, but
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think we've established that the walk over to a nice air-cooled, air-conditioned business centre is the place.
Maybe. Or just somewhere that's like, if we're here, it's below 20 degrees. It's been below 20 degrees all day. But you know what, guys? I am thankful for you participating in this conversation with us today and listening. If you have any comments about anything that we spoke about, pop it down below. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you comment.
And thank you for everyone that has been commenting so far. We've had some really lovely feedback, haven't we, on the kind of difference that the different tone that our podcast is bringing to creative health, and the people that are feeling like they're connecting to that. So
yeah, it's nice.
That's really lovely to hear.
And I only ever like positive comments. If you're a hater, then I don't care about your comments. I'm only joking. Look, I can't help it, guys. I am me. I appreciate you. I love you lots. We love you. Stay blessed.
If you would like to hear more about Creative Synthesis, look in the description below. We'll have links to the Creative Synthesis website, our YouTube, and Spotify.
I am also Creative Synthesis cannot be held responsible for anything said by Pruga. It's all on him. He's an idiot. It's not reflective of Jane. Thank you for watching.
Bye, guys.